This week on Art on the Air features Connecticut-born artist Lauralee Sikorski, who works in murals, fine art painting, sculpture, and large-scale public works projects. Next, we discuss the current Greening of the Arts exhibit at Calumet College. Our spotlight is on LaPorte County Symphony's Carolyn Watson and Tim King with a Jazzy American Salute concert on November 13th.
Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. You're in the know with Esther and Larry. Art on the air today. Stay in the know with Larry and Esther. Art on the air our way. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart.
Welcome. You're listening to Art on the Air on WVLP 103.1 FM and Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM, our weekly program covering arts and arts events throughout Northwest Indiana and beyond. I'm Larry Breckner of New Perspectives Photography, right alongside here with Esther Golden of The Nest in Michigan City.
Aloha, everyone.
We're your hosts for Art on the Air. Art on the Air is supported by an Indiana Arts Commission Arts Project grant through South Shore Arts and the National Endowment for the Arts. Art on the Air streams live at WVLP.org and is rebroadcast on Monday at 5 p.m., plus is also heard on Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM every Sunday at 7 p.m., also streaming live at lakeshorepublicradio.org and is available on Lakeshore Public Radio's website as a podcast. Our spotlight interviews are also heard Wednesdays on Lakeshore Public Radio. Information about Art on the Air is available at our website, breck.com/AOTA. That's Breck, BRECH.com/AOTA. That includes a complete show archive, spotlight interviews, plus our show is available on multiple podcast platforms, including NPR One. Please like us on Facebook, Art on the Air, WVLP, for information about upcoming shows and interviews. And we'd like to welcome to Art in the Air Spotlight. Well, they've both been with us before from the LaPorte County Symphony Orchestra, and they're going to be talking about their upcoming concert, which is going to be a Jazzy American Salute. We have the conductor and music director, and their first major outing with the orchestra, Carolyn Watson, and of course the executive director, Tim King. Welcome to Art in the Air Spotlight.
Aloha, both of you.
Thank you. Great to be here again.
Well, Carolyn, this is your first time out with the orchestra, except I know you just did the children's concerts, but I mean, this is your first regular concert. So tell us a little bit about what's going to be in a Jazzy American Salute on November 13th.
Okay, so it's a wonderful program. I'm particularly excited about it for a number of reasons, actually. So we've titled it a Jazzy American Salute, and with respect to the inclusion of the word salute, that's because we would like to honor and recognize our veterans, because, of course, a couple of days prior to our concert is, in fact, Veterans Day. So in the program, we've got a number of pieces, including the Armed Forces Salute, America the Beautiful, etc., that we would like to honor and recognize and thank our veterans for their service. And the other works on the program are just going to be, I think, such a treat for the audience. So it's going to open with a work by a very young but very gifted American composer from Texas originally, and his name is Kevin Day, and he's
amazing.
He's actually going to be with us in LaPorte.
My gosh.
So we're
Excellent.
very excited about that. And the piece that we're going to play of his is called Lightspeed, a fanfare for orchestra. It's basically a 2.5-minute tour de force of energy for the orchestra. I know the audience is absolutely going to love opening with this particular piece, and having Kevin there is going to be truly wonderful as well. Another treat for listeners is the concerto on the program. And for a concerto, it's relatively short. It comes in under 10 minutes. But oh my goodness, what happens in that short amount of time is just mind-blowing. And it's a work by Artie Shaw, and it is in fact his clarinet concerto. So we're going to be joined by a soloist from Europe, in fact, Peter Smilev. And Peter is a doctoral candidate at the University of Kansas. He comes to us with professional European orchestral experience, and he is also just a fabulous guy and a wonderful soloist. So he's going to present for us the Artie Shaw Clarinet Concerto. And rounding out the first half of the concert, we have got works by the great American educator, conductor, composer Leonard Bernstein, of course, best known for West Side Story. But this is, we've got 3 dance episodes from On the Town, which are just really fun, cool, jazzy, popular, just great pieces of music. And that takes us up to intermission. And following that, we've got a work that is new to LaPorte audiences, and I'm particularly excited about bringing it there. And it's the Afro-American Symphony, the first symphony of great American composer, but one kind of has taken a little while for us to recognize just how good he was, William Grant Still.
Beautiful.
Beautiful program. Tim, we'll kick it to you for a minute. So I'm sure tickets are going well. Tell us about the ticket sales and availability, where everything's at.
Thank you. Well, tickets are going well. We only have 2 more tables available on the floor at this point for that concert. They can always get their tickets at lcso.net. We also have tickets available at Roxy Music in LaPorte in the Civic Auditorium. Another thing that we have just come upon that's been a really nice addition is we have had a very generous donor that is going to pay the admission for any veteran and their guests to come to the concert. Excellent. Well, that helps the orchestra and it helps the veterans, but this is something that they wanted to do. So we want to get that word out there. And they just simply call the orchestra at 219-362-9020, or they can send us an email through our website, lcso.net, with their name and email, and we will take care of them and have them come to the concert.
Gosh, what a beautiful thing.
And Carolyn's done such a great job. I have to admit, most of these pieces I was not familiar with, and I've been in arts administration for years, but boy, after hearing some of these pieces, no pun intended, but I'm really jazzed about this.
How appropriate.
Yeah. So, Carolyn, do you know Kevin Day? Is that how you reached out to him, or did he reach out to the symphony?
Yeah, so I came across this work just shortly before the pandemic, in fact, in one of my last gigs before basically travel and the world shut down way back in February 2020, I believe. Right. And I was doing an invitational at Washington and Lee University in Virginia. And my colleague who had invited me to work with the orchestra there had, in fact, commissioned this piece from Kevin Day, and it was on the program. And over the course of the weekend, I worked on that piece and got to know it and kind of recognized really what a great piece it was and what a good fit for the LCSO it would be. And I have actually since then done it on 2 other occasions. So I'm more than excited that we can open our subscription concert season this year. And obviously my first one as music director with this great piece by Kevin Day.
What are we looking forward to for the rest of the season? Holiday and some of the other concerts real quick in our about last minute left here.
Yeah, so we've got a wonderful holiday pops lined up, and then we're going to see audiences again in March with a classical focused program centered around the music of Tchaikovsky, including Verdi's Force of Destiny Overture. We've got a wonderful cello soloist called Hannah Collins, who's going to play Tchaikovsky's Rococo Variations, and then finish with Tchaikovsky's Mighty Symphony No. 5. And then in April, audiences are going to love a wonderfully exciting concert full of film music. The central work on that is the great Star Wars Suite by Los Angeles-based composer John Williams. Oh, my gosh. And Tim, you had to wrap up here in the last 30 seconds?
Well, again, tickets available on our website, lcso.net. We have a limited amount of tickets because of still the pandemic and the various stages that we're in. But we are going to have the concert, and so far, terribly excited about the tables on the floor so far, and that the chance that we're going to be able to take care of our veterans as well to come to the concert.
Well, we appreciate you coming on Art in the Air. Carolyn Watson, Music Director for the LaPorte County Symphony, and Executive Director Tim King. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing about your upcoming concerts.
Yes, thank you. It's an amazing lineup.
Thank you both. Thank you both, yeah.
You're listening to Art on the Air, WVLP 103.1 FM, and on Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM. We'd like to welcome to Art in the Air Connecticut-born artist, currently living in the Midwest. Her art's been shown throughout the United States, in London, Berlin, and has appeared in a number of art literary journals. She's also a certified yoga teacher since 2004. She's continued her training with multiple certifications, including meditation, and integrates the Eastern disciplines in the creation of work. Please welcome to Art in the Air, Lauralee Sikorski.
Thank you so much for having me. What a delight to be here.
Aloha. It's very nice.
Well, Lauralee, we like to always start off with our audience to find out a little bit about our guests and kind of like your personal biography, your personal story, like how you got from where you were to where you are now. So tell us about yourself.
Well, as you mentioned, I'm a Connecticut-born artist, but I have been living in the Midwest for quite some time now. And I spent a lot of time in my younger years managing and working in health clubs and in the health industry. And I would sort of dabble, draw, paint on the side. And it was really my sweetheart that was very encouraging of me. And I pushed it a little bit at a time that I lived in Minneapolis, which is really very an art-focused area. I showed some of my paintings in a little coffee gallery. It was like my first little step into it. And I was still working full time at something else. And it's once you get started, I think, at least for me, once I put my toe in the water, I really started to think that, that was a real part of me as opposed to just a little, doodling fantasy sort of thing. So it started with just a little cafe, gallery showing my work and getting positive feedback. And then I would just continue to do things like that and also continue to work in the fitness industry for the most part. So the two kind of came up together until I got a little more mature and finally decided to go specifically into yoga, which is certainly fitness related, but much more for my own spiritual journey, which was really lacking at the time. So I went through my first of many teacher trainings, and that really unlocked more of the art, which was be more of my authentic self, which is really what we kind of hope a spiritual journey offers us, is more the truth that lives in us rather than who we might think we should be in the world.
So Lauralee, what were those first paintings like? What were your subjects? Because I know your spiritual or your yoga practice has led to, your art to develop in that way. But what were those first paintings and what was the medium you were using?
From day one, I have always been incredibly courageous with the mediums that I've chosen because I'm not formally trained. So I do not have any such need to follow any guidelines or any rules. And that's always just served me really well. So I can remember one painting in particular. I miss them like I miss friends, It was a nude. And it was, bright oranges, and I used an acrylic, and I used the paint so thickly that it was three-dimensional. And she was striding forward. She just had one leg walking forward. And the body was exquisite, and the colors were bright and delightful. It was not whimsical, but it was very uplifting. And it might have been probably, as I remember that, my foray into, I don't set out to paint a certain thing for the most part. I'm really a stream of consciousness person. I'm a stream of consciousness yoga teacher. I'm a stream of consciousness person. So what comes out is often, not always, but often very much from some other part of myself being accessed. And then I did, as I said, not always, I did one of the covers of, I think it was Pink Floyd, that had you have something right now in the background. I can see you guys, but you can't see me. It was kind of a primal mask. And when I saw back when, you could see albums, when I saw the album, it just really struck me. And I wanted to paint that. So I did my version of that, which was just a little more three-dimensional than what you'd see on that album cover, a little bit more, intense. And I think I did a lot of figures, the human figure in that show.
Well, I was going to ask you, since you didn't have any formal training, though, how did you acquire, and maybe it was just very natural, the skills to create in the various art mediums you use?
Well, everybody in high school has to take an elective. So that was the very start. And the art teacher that I had, which I have stayed in touch with all these many years until very recently, she's passed on. But she also taught my older sister, who is also an artist, and my mom was an artist and did a lot of artwork in college. And she ended up having 5 children, so not really pursuing it. But there is something to that handed down trait. And then as far as the mediums, I think I was always self-taught. So I didn't just sort of willy-nilly. I mean, I was always watching, reading books, I'm like, my library is filled with books about art and artists and mediums. And so the way that somebody might pick up a bunch of nonfiction novels, I would always pick up that sort of book and accumulate them, and then just say, oh, that would be neat. And that would be neat. And then going into an art store with art, that arsenal of knowledge, and just being courageous.
Very
just
good.
Thinking there's nothing I can't do.
So the art of possible just by learning it on your own. So, before we explore, any more of your art, let's talk about COVID, because that's been a real impact on artists this past, over a year and a half. How's that impacted you in terms of, yoga, but also your art? And did you find that it was a depressing thing, or maybe a more creative period for you?
Well, now that we've had a little bit of distance since that initial lockdown, I've been aware of many stories in this regard, and I've yet to find someone who has had it impact them the same way it has me, which is not to say they're not out there. But a lot of creative people really just were very prodigious. I mean, they just really took that free or that extra time and were able to really dial into the quietness in the world or whatever. That was not me at all. It hurt. In hindsight, from this point, looking back, it really hit me hard. And I didn't know it at the time because I'm sort of an innately positive person. So I don't really allow myself to sometimes feel as deeply as it could pull you into. And also I had the responsibility of, I'm also a yoga teacher, and we were going through that together. So I've been teaching for a very long time, and at the moment had a core group of students who stayed with me. And even though we had to take a big break from classes, we did come back with tiny little classes. So it was financially extremely difficult. It was energetically, again, in hindsight, I could see how my energy was slowly getting less so. In the moment, I just sort of felt like, oh, well, we're just doing classes a little dialed down. I had no private lessons. Not so much where I'd have very, very close contact. We were very spatial, very distant, like 3 people in a class. So very sparse. And when it came time to have to kind of rebuild, to sort of come back to life again, I have been noticing, even up until this moment, my energy is just very different. It's actually unfamiliar to me. So I'm getting to know this new me. And
Lauralee, is it more subdued or?
Yeah, for sure. And it is with a different kind of clarity. And I say it, maybe a maturity.
I know. I was going to say it's kind of bred some ancient wisdom, allowing to enter, I think,
Well, currently, this past weekend, I went and I picked up some art that I felt just so delighted to be in this show at the Springfield, Ohio Smithsonian affiliate. And it was one of their anniversary shows celebrating, their beautiful, beautiful location. And as such, that one of the people from the Smithsonian who has quite a lot of credentials came and juried the show. And that was super fun for me. And this was art that I had finished just before the pandemic. I mean, real close to it. Super neat stuff. And when I couldn't really find my way into doing new stuff, I looked at the stuff that I already had, and I entered that into different venues just to keep moving forward. And all of it very well received. During that pandemic, I was published a few times. I was critiqued by a few art critics. I got into that Springfield museum and another venue. So it was a different kind of moving forward, where I guess I'm very used to just doing as much art as I can whenever I can. That just sort of changed a little bit. And then I shifted to sculpting. And that proved to, and still proves to be, a big learning ground. I've been painting and drawing all my, for as long as I can remember, but sculpting is newer to me.
What are you using?
I'm using a medium that is relatively new. I think the company, if I'm not mistaken, is only about 5 years old, and it's out of New Zealand, and it is it's their own special blend. There's a husband and wife, the wife being the artist, and the husband was in the construction and entertainment industry, and he designed this with her together. And it is like a concrete mix, but it has a couple of other ingredients in it that allow it to be super soft and at the right consistency, just like clay. And it has fiberglass fibers in it. And so when it dries, it's lighter in weight, and it is virtually indestructible. I mean, just you could smash it up against a wall. So if it's properly cured, it's virtually indestructible, and for a very long time. And it's been used in major installations for large outdoor sculptures, which is really what I would like to do. And I'm in the process of doing. It's just taking me a while to get that cure rate. I think I might have sent you a little photograph that came up of some sculptures that I'm working on for the Long Beach school. And as things happen the way they do, the temperature in the studio got to be like 87 degrees because the air conditioning went out. And it was also incredibly humid. And so the sculpture that I did didn't cure properly, and now I have to completely redo it.
What is it called? What is the product called?
It's Paltia. And in the picture, for whatever reason, this particular product they have found adheres extremely well to crumpled up, very strong tinfoil. So you can make your armature and your base out of anything, and then put the crumpled up tinfoil on it, and then put the Paltia medium on it, just like you would clay. Or you could have completely all crumpled up, super strong tinfoil, and just make your armature out of that. And it's just incredibly versatile and pretty exciting. And so I've been playing with it, and that's kind of where I'll continue to put my attention, I think.
So, Lauralee, what would you describe your art as? I mean, I'm looking at your Instagram right now, and it's such a variety of different things, and including I see a picture of somebody taking a bow at a theater thing. I don't know if you're involved in theater or anything, but
yeah. Well,
we'll talk about that in a minute. But just first of all, how would you just self-describe your art to someone who doesn't know and can't see it on the radio?
Eclectic and authentic.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. And it's very personal to me. I haven't quite gotten to the point where I'm trying to please others. So that might come in more as I mature even more. But I'm a pretty off the cuff person in general. And so it's whatever I'm drawn to, whatever is coming either from my subconscious or from the energy that I'm in. I did this.
So is that how the yoga and the art then play back and forth? So do you like when you're in a meditative state or a yoga state, are you able to then go to that art place while you're there and something comes to you, or is it Or does it happen in the flip? Like when you're in front of a piece of work that you're working on, do you then slip into that meditative state and let that take over as well? So what is the connection for you?
The connection is when I get out of the way, when the more that I'm out of the way. So it probably seems really strange to people who haven't spent any time around me, but in the 15 years that I've been teaching, at one point I started teaching with my eyes closed the entire class. And I would direct people in and out of movement and in a solid flow, completely with my eyes closed, because it came from a space that at least partially, if not wholly, was not me. That was that namaste, that deep spirit me. And in that space, sometimes wisdom comes out that is not mine, because I'm just not that wise, but from like messages in a way. And it took me a little bit to get comfortable with that way of teaching. And certainly it was not the way I was taught to teach. But sooner or later, you just got to be you, right? So I just went with it. And then I ended up having a core group who understood that and appreciated that. And so from that space, all creativity, whether it's acting, because I loved the plays that I've been in, acting is fun. I don't take it seriously. I don't want to be an actor per se, but it shakes up the creative boundaries of the source of creativity for music, for writing poetry, for writing fiction, for writing, and for creating painting or sculpture or any kind of craft or three-dimensional. The source of originality is the source of everything. It's the one source. It's what created the world. It's the same source. So I don't use it just for one medium. I go to the source, and what comes from the source is what, is that purity. Does that make any sense?
It makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I'd like to now quickly explore your theater, though. I see the one that is on your Instagram is with the Footlight Players. I think it was Cemetery Club. But tell us about some of the shows you've in, plays and or musicals or whatever.
Well, I've only got to do a few and before COVID hit. But one of them that what I really wanted to do is I wanted to feel what it was like to be the lead. To have that kind of responsibility, to have that dialogue, and to be so pivotal. People who are true to the craft, they're like, there's no small parts, there's only small actors. I'm not that. I'm not true to the craft. I'm true to me, which is just the way it is. That's just honestly the way it is. But I did a Crimes of the Heart, where I got to really have a tremendous amount of dialogue, and it was awesome. I got to have a different accent. It just turned out fantastic. I loved it.
Any more theater in your future you're looking for?
Well, now time just feels like since I've slowed down just in general, I can't imagine where I found the time to begin with to do it all, from sitting where I'm sitting.
I understand. Well, having been a retired musical theater director, I understand is a long commitment putting on a show. What are you looking forward to now that, we're hopefully seeing the light at the end of the tunnel with COVID, things that you've been wanting to do, but, with the Delta variant, of course, coming out, we haven't been able to do. So what are you looking forward to?
Well, I used to do a lot of workshops. And one of the things that came up during COVID is this really deep self-care. Like I got a steam facial machine where you could, like when you have in a barbershop, they put those steam facial things on you. So I got a thing that I could do that, and warm stones and aromatherapy and deep meditation. So I would like to do that more freely and not feel so freaked out by proximity of people and masking and whatnot. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And sculpting, just getting some time in to get that done.
So what kind of, is it figurative, abstract? What are you being drawn to sculpt?
Well, just the first grouping are all Mother Nature and female oriented. So there's a female that almost looks like a Mother Mary, Mother Nature figure. And I'm going to embellish her with leaves and birds and, really blending with nature and very reverent. And then there's a a one sitting in a meditative pose, and I will adorn her the same way, but she'll be meditating almost like the Eastern and the Western, in a sense, Mother Mary, and then like a Gaia, sort of figure. And then one of them is just a pair of legs, a full-bodied pair of legs. And then I'm working on, I'm having a little challenge getting there, but I'll get there. Her upper body is a tree, like literally just the branches and maybe a little nest, and then maybe a bird here or there, but her legs are in rocks. So she's a part of the earth, and then it grows up into the tree. So it's very much a blended being. I just need to get through these because they're fairly large. And I don't know what'll go. I would like to go into kind of Dali territory, like very, very strange territory, like Salvador Dali.
Sounds wonderful.
So we're getting close to the end here. So tell us a little bit about how people can find you, either website, Facebook. I know you have an Instagram. So tell us how we find you on those places. During COVID, I let my websites go. I didn't re-up them. And I had my Facebook hacked, and then I just thought, I need to take a break from that. There was a lot of uncomfortable energy all around Facebook with the election and all of that. So I have not been on that page, and then it got hacked, so I can't get into it. So I am on Instagram, and my name, which would probably be on this show, you can Google me, and a lot of my art will come up, and my yoga schedule will just magically appear on there without a website. Very good. Well, we appreciate you coming on Art in the Air. That's Lauralee Sikorski. You can find her on Instagram on LL Sikorski _original_art, and you can find her there. Also on Facebook, it's Fun Loving Deep Stretching, which is kind of more your yoga side, Lauralee Sikorski. Thank you so much for coming on Art in the Air. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. You guys have a lovely rest of your day.
You as well. Thank you.
You're listening to Art on the Air, WVLP 103.1 FM, and on Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM. And we'd like to welcome to this segment of Art in the Air from Greening of the Arts, and we'll talk more about that later, Michael Bowes, who's founded the Association for the Wolf Lake Initiative in 1999, and we'll talk more about that. He spent more than 50 years in the field of communication as a journalist and public relations. And we have Roman Villarreal of Chicago, a former steelworker, but he sculpts multi-figure expressions from the human experience. And also included in this, in our interview, will be Maria Villarreal, and they'll all tell us all about themselves. Welcome, all three of you, to Art on the Air.
Thank you. Thank you for the time.
Aloha. It's so wonderful to see you all.
So we'll start with you, Michael. We'd like to hear a little bit more about your background. Like I always like to say, how you got from where you were to where you are now, where you grew up. Education, family, and anything like so. Tell us about yourself, Michael.
Oh, okay. I grew up in eastern Iowa, attended the University of Iowa, undergraduate work, went into the Army for a short stint with the artillery, and then returned, went back and got my graduate degree at the University of Iowa, and then traveled to Chicago, where I worked at the University of Chicago for 10 years. And then I went west, went to California for about a decade, and I was managing a newspaper out there, as well as consulting with other groups, including a school district. And then I returned to Chicago about 20 years ago, and or actually about 30 years ago, and have been working here since. I started the Association for the Wolf Lake Initiative in 1999, and that was our primary purpose in doing that was to bring the managers of the Wolf Lake watershed together. It's a bi-state watershed, and folks in Illinois weren't talking to the folks in Indiana. So the purpose of the organization was to bring these two together. And I think the first year that we were formed, we were able to bring them together. And that was probably the last meeting that they ever held. So our efforts to do that haven't been that successful, but we keep trying it anyway. And I would like to add that the Greening of the Arts actually started in 2005, I believe. And but in 2004, I ran into Rowan after maybe about 8 years. I hadn't seen him for 8 years. I think we did something together in Hyde Park, and it was a fundraiser there, and that's where I met him. And then I ran into him again in 2004, and we were having a dinner coming up, and I said, why don't you bring some of your artwork along, and we'll have it on display for our dinner. And I just meant a few things, and it ended up being something greater than that. And Rowan, do you recall what that involved?
Yeah, that was interesting, because one of the things that I learned while working with Mike is that there's no such thing as we can't do it. That was interesting to us, because that particular show that we had in the first one, I think the lights went out. Anything that could go wrong went wrong, but it didn't stop us from going on. All we did was light some candles, continue with the program. But it really showed me that no matter hook or crook, no matter what, we were going to do this. And I've been with him all the time. Every time he calls a room, yeah, of course, I'm with you. I'm counting you in, definitely.
So did you come with a trailer full of work when Michael is talking about it was more than he expected?
Afraid so. Matter of fact, we brought one of Maria's sculptures. She did a 15 or 16 foot giraffe.
Wow. Now,
the interesting part is, mind you, we're coming down the street in Indiana with 16 feet plus the truck, so we were like 20 feet. We had to figure out what streets to go down there. We couldn't go through viaducts or anything like that, so it was a heck of an experience. But we did it. It was funny as heck, though.
Yeah, we finally tilted the giraffe forward over the cab so it could get under the street lights or the viaducts or whatever. But it took us a while, but we finally got that through. And that giraffe stayed there,
yes,
in the building for years.
Yeah, about 3-4 years it stayed there.
Yes.
Wow. So Roman, did you grow up in an art? You and Maria, both of you, this question. Did you grow up in artistic households? So what pushed you to the arts?
Well, according to my mother, I've always had the gift of shaping. Even when I was a little kid, I always had the gift of shaping. But because we came from a steelworkers family, the funniest thing to me on this particular thing is, I remember the first time I was already married to Maria. We already had children. I was working in steel mills, went through a stint in the military. And I went up to my father and I told him, I want to go to the Art Institute. He looked at me for a minute and he goes, are you crazy? How the heck are you going to feed your family? See, we got to understand, during that period, education was not part of us. It was the trades, plumbers, electricians. Now this was work, not an artist.
Did you hear? I always heard, oh, it's so nice that you can do that art thing, but you better have a real job.
Well, luckily that between me and Maria, we were able to kind of balance it, because, by myself, it would have been a lot more difficult. We had to raise our children. We had bills to pay. But we were very, very fortunate that after we stepped, the main reason that we took the big step was once the mills closed, we had to make a decision in life. And one of the decisions that we made together as a couple was that we were going to be the masters of our own fate, because I was not going to work no more for anybody, because it wasn't working for us. We were very fortunate that from the very beginning of our original shows, people took an interest in us and kind of encouraged us to keep going to the point where we're at now as artists. So, Maria?
Yeah, Maria, tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey also, growing up and things all the way till you got to Michael.
I never, did art at home. I was raised with my parents and 7 brothers and sisters. And so therefore, the art didn't hit me till after my kids were little kids and we started having birthday parties. And then I started making puppets because they were raised with Sesame Street. So I went to the Goodwill that was in the neighborhood and I created all the Sesame Street characters out of scratch. And that's what started me into the arts, self-taught. And I've been doing, my mom said, where are you getting all these ideas from? I said, I don't know, Mom. I feel the need to do that. So then later in life, I started doing quilts and teaching kids how to sew, teenagers. And things just grew after that. So when you do your resume, you realize how long you've been doing things. I'm like, ah! But it's been good for us. It's been good for my kids. And I meet a lot of people. I remember a few years back, I was in Jules, and went back in the day when it was Jules, and I turned around and bumped into a young man, and he was a tall guy, and I looked up, he goes, oh, it's the puppet lady. What? And this was a young man already, grown, and he had remembers me when he was a little kid, but I love what I do. The pandemic put me in a little bit of retirement, but I'm still working for an organization in my neighborhood, Sky Art, and I love kids. And so that's until Rome and I said, we're not couch potatoes, so I guess we're going to keep going.
So do you ever have the opportunity? I know that you support each other both very much, but do you ever, does your work ever, do you ever collaborate with each other? Have you ever worked on something together?
Yeah, matter of fact, that you mentioned it now, we're doing a series of work. I kind of really like this. We're doing a series of works that's going to Dallas, Texas, and he's for Garden, Texas, and we're making like a Katrina and all this. But what we're doing that's kind of unique is we're collaborating our skills, and I really, really like it. I think we discovered something a little bit more interesting that we never knew, is how our collaboration works together. Now, mind you, we have our own separate spaces. Mm-hmm. When we live together,
essential.
And pandemic, Maria's way on that side over there being creative, and I'm way on the other side. So this period was really interesting to us because we really went into an art mode, and it was a very, very creative time. A lot of people didn't really go into the mode, but for some reason, it worked for us because I created over 100 and something new pieces of artwork in that's a short period of time, along with the works that Maria created. But this newest works together is a takeoff on what's her name? She's doing a show at the Art Institute. Butler.
She was at the Art Institute. Her last name was Butler. She did a quilting show. It's gone now.
Yeah.
And so I do textile art. He's just like, it's like, this is so cool. So I'm like, all right, fine. But as for our different art things, he always gives me the right to be with him at his studio or something and his friends and all that. And I'm like, sometimes man and woman you live together and you got to be separate from each other. So I said, I'll give you your space, I like my space, I like to be left alone with my own music and stuff, to be creative. And then when he comes home and the music's blasting, because you never know where I'm at. I might be in the attic or basement or wherever. And I'll know he's in because he lowers my music. I'm like, gee, he loves my music. What the heck? But, it's that way. He goes to one side, I go to another, and my kid's like, wow, this is kind of unusual. I go, it's what it is. It's our space.
Yeah, and it's interesting because hopefully we're going to put together a series. We don't know exactly how many, but we're thinking of collaborating together for the first time as artists. And I'm looking forward to it because we're really interested because of her skills with textile. I'm more primitive. I glue everything.
Yeah.
Glue here, glue here.
I can so feel the energy of it just by you talking. I'm so excited.
And she takes it to the other level, which is a little bit more calmer. She sews things together and adds this. What do you think of this? Me, I'm with glue. Give me the glue gun.
He's so impatient. But I turn around and it's just so odd that, sometimes you would think you would clash and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to walk away from this guy because, I got my ideas and you're not going to crush them. It's just so crazy. So I go, okay, we'll do it. Let me see what you're talking about. But, I look at it like this. He's pushing me to come out more with my art because I have always worked in the schools and stuff. And so I'm like, I have always felt like, no, man, you're the artist. You're the guy. He goes, no, Marie, you're an artist. I'm like, but it's hard for women to do that. So my women friends are like, you did this, and that. But like, it's okay. Because to me, in my world, Rummy always is going to be the sculptor.
But and it's really valid what you're saying, because as a textile artist myself, primarily, I was doing it in the 70s, and textiles artists were on the lowest rung of the art chain. It was just like non-existent. And so to be a textile artist, you were very ignored. And, but now it's like, it's finally coming to fruition where everybody is appreciating everything that textiles encompasses. And I think it does blend really beautifully with other disciplines. So I'm so excited to see what you're doing.
You're listening to Art on the Air, WVLP 103.1 FM, and on Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM.
It's interesting that you mentioned the 70s, because I remember a show at the Cultural Center in Chicago, and this was a woman who did this huge textile art. I have a copy of her book. I just can't remember her name off now. I think she was some Polish or from Europe, Eastern Europe. But she was an inspiration, because when she was doing that work in the 70s, textile was very, very popular.
In the 70s, yeah.
And then it went away for a while, and I sort of starting to see it again, which is really interesting, But she impressed me. This particular artist, I just can't remember her name right now. But what an show! It was really amazing what she did. Huge work.
I also turned around. I made 2 pieces of art, which I show here, and Frida Kahlo inspired me at a personal time in my life when I was feeling like needed somebody's inner strength. So I created 2 pieces of Frida Kahlo out of foam. One was legs. Remember that? Yeah. She's called Mistress of the Cosmos. Real sexy piece. And one is called The Many Faces of Frida, which is a piece of Rummy's foam from his bronze piece. So he had scraps, so I took him and created some artwork. And friends, when they show, they go, "Oh, you're getting inspired by Rum because he's a sculptor?" And I look at them, I'm like, "Gee, I never looked at it like that, but that's cool, I guess." But you know what I mean? When you're living with somebody, you're like, "It's okay, I don't know," But I'm like, well, until I played with the clay or I tried sculpting, it's just a little bit too much for my zzz up your arm and stuff. I'm like, that ain't me. I'll just stick with what I can do. But when they tell me that, I go like, yeah, I suppose after living with him all these years, I suppose he's growing on me.
I'm sure it's mutual.
But I love my textile art. I love that. I love quilting. And I feel I'm going back into puppetry with these young kids that I'm going to be teaching now.
But you also do mosaic as well, right?
Oh, I do. I mean, my family's like, when are you going to stop doing all this? I go, hey, man, it was given to me. My friends, here, take this. Well, then you want to do it. I'm just hoping one of my great-grands, because we have many, takes up all this stuff. So this I can say, hey, take this material. Let's do something. That's my goal.
Well, what's interesting about our home, as an example, I have over 900 pieces of art. My daughter got together about a year ago, and she wants to she's becoming my age, and she's taking over. She was even Maria was amazed at what I had put away. In one roll of paintings alone, I was doing the series of Cubist art. 50 paintings. I even forgot they were there, because she started bringing things up. She goes, you didn't sign this one. I said, what are you talking about? Now, this is my work. And I'm even surprised myself. Where did you get this from? Where is this stuff coming from?
So I'm bringing them up from downstairs. And so, I'm cleaning them up, washing them up, drying them. And then all he got to do is sign them, right? So I come up with the first 10, and then I take them down. I come up with the next 10. And all of a sudden, he's painting something new on the side. And then all of a sudden, he looks up, he goes, where's this coming from? I looked at him for a minute. Don't play that game with me. This is your work. I said, are you for real? And he goes, he's looking at him. And then all of a sudden, he's painting them. I come back up with the third 10, and he goes, I said, hey, what are you doing? You're supposed to just be signing them. Oh, I don't feel it's done. And then my daughter says, leave him alone. Let her finish it. I go like, this will take forever. But that's where we're at.
And we're getting ready. If everything works out, we have a friend of ours named Fuji Amara. It's Flufio. He just recently published a book. and he wants to take the task of cataloging my work and photographing it. It's a huge task.
Yes.
It's going to be a huge
It sounds like a museum. It sounds like you could start a museum, actually.
Well, speaking of museums, the Intuit Museum, well, that's funny. It's an into it. But for some strange reason, I was calling it Inuit.
That's my call. I was doing a thing on Inuit.
So for one whole year, I'm telling people, I'm going to be in the Inuit Museum. I'm going to be in Inuit, and everybody was like, what museum? Finally, this friend of ours, Fahim, who's one of the curators for the Intuit, tells me, Ron, first of all, there ain't no Mexicans in Alaska. What are you talking about? And he goes, it's called Intuit. Mm-hmm. Well, anyways, they came to see me. They were impressed with my work. So I'll be having a one-man show there in March if everything works out. Mm-hmm. We're working out the details now. But it's funny because they want to invite me to England. And I kept telling myself, what the hell would I be doing in England? This is one of the last places I ever thought I would even go because I never really thought about it. So I was, oh man, it's an honor. I said, okay, fine. I mean, if I go, I'll go, but I'm not really looking forward to it. But it's kind of it's sinking in slowly for the both of us at what level we are as artists. Because to me, people look at my work, oh my God, you got so much work. I don't see it. That's the other problem with me. I still don't feel that I've done enough work. I still have to go more. I haven't reached my level.
And Roman, you just got to follow the wave too. Just let the wave take you.
True.
No, that's the beauty of it. That's really what it is.
Well, we need to ask Michael something about the exhibit itself, if you can talk about it. Now, you had your opening, let's see, this is your 16th Green of the Arts show, and it opened on October 15th. Of course, we're airing this after the opening, but you can still see it. But tell us a little about like some of the artists that are in it, how they got in it. It'll be going through November 16th, I believe. So tell us a little bit about the exhibit itself.
Well, first of all, I asked artists that have that use materials that have been used before, or that they focus on nature or the environment. And so these are kind of the artists I'm looking for. And so this year we have 7 artists actually. One, Carol, I'll just go alphabetically. Carol Estes from LaPorte, and she does. She had appeared at one of my earlier shows, but I couldn't remember when. And then she said, "Oh, it was 2013." So this is the second time that she'll be showing. And she's kind of a self-made artist. She's an award-winning photographer. And she says that she's joined the ranks of artistry late in life, picking up a camera at age 53. So she's not ashamed of telling what her age is. So I look forward to seeing her again. There are 2 photographers, other photographers in the show. One is Rebecca Moss of Oaklawn, Illinois, and she used to be a former director for OLLI, the Association for the Wolf-Like Initiative, and she does close-ups of plants, flowers, and then the other photographer is Tom Mullins of Whiting, Indiana, and just about all of his photographs are taken at the Wolf Lake watershed, which is, of course, our central focus. And then Roman and Maria. And in fact, I can have Roman explain his sculpture.
We need to really wrap up here, Michael, and we need to talk about the location, where they can still see the exhibit after your opening, and everything like that, and how they can contact you maybe about getting in a future exhibit. So tell us all about that.
Sure. This is the Bernard Gallery at Calumet College of St. Joseph, and that's in Whiting, Indiana. We've been showing here since 2013 was the first year. And and that can be, the address is 2400 New York Avenue in Whiting, Indiana. and we'll be going through November 16th. So the artwork will be here for about a month.
Is there a website they can find out or online viewing?
Yes, I think just my email is michael@wolflakeinitiative.org. That's michael@wolflakeinitiative.org. And there will be information on our website. And if you want to give a call, that's area code 219-933-7149.
Well,
and just call and I can update you on the show.
Well, we thank you for coming on Art on the Air. That's Michael Bose and Roman and Maria Villarreal, and sharing their story and their art about the greening of the art show, which will be running through November 15th, part of the Wolf Lake Initiative. Thank you so much for coming on Art on the Air.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
You've been listening to Art on the Air, and we'd like to thank our guests this week on WVLP 103.1 FM and Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM, our weekly program covering arts and arts events throughout Northwest Indiana and beyond. Art on the Air is heard every Friday at 11 a.m. and rebroadcast Monday at 5 p.m. on WVLP. Art on the Air streams live at WVLP.org and is rebroadcast on Monday at 5 p.m. Plus is also heard on Lakeshore Public Radio 89.1 FM every Sunday at 7 p.m., also streaming live at lakeshorepublicradio.org and is available on Lakeshore Public Radio's website as a podcast. Our spotlight interviews are also heard Wednesdays on Lakeshore Public Radio. Thanks again to Greg Kovach, WVLP station manager, and Tom Maloney, vice president of radio operations for Lakeshore Public Radio. Our theme music is by Billy Foster with a vocal by Renee Foster. Art on the Air is supported by an Indiana Arts Commission Arts Project Grant and the National Endowment for the Arts. Underwriters for Art on the Air, Walt Breidinger of Paragon Investments and Mary Levan, Arts Patron. Art on the Air is always looking for financial support. We'd like to thank our current supporters. If you're looking to support Art on the Air, Esther and I especially would invite you to become an underwriter of this program in particular. We have information on our website at breck.com/AOTA. You can find out support information there. So don't just be an Art on the Air listener. Become a supporter or underwriter in whatever amount you're able to do so we continue to bring you great content and this great local programming. And like I say every week, don't give till it hurts. Give till it feels good. And you'll feel so good about supporting Art on the Air. Information about Art on the Air is available at our website, breck.com/AOTA. That's Breck, BRECH.com/AOTA. That includes a complete show archive, spotlight interviews, plus our show is available on multiple podcast platforms, including NPR One. Please like us on Facebook, Art on the Air, WVLP, for information about upcoming shows and interviews. If you're interested in being a guest or sending us information about your arts-related event or exhibit, please email us at aota@breck.com. That's aota@breck, BRECH.com, or contact us through our Facebook page. Your hosts were Larry Breckner and Esther Golden, and we invite you back next week for another episode of Art on the Air.
Aloha, everyone. Have a splendid week.
Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. You're in the know with Esther and Larry. Art on the Air today. Stay in the know with Larry and Esther. Art on the Air our way. Express yourself through art and show the world your heart. Express yourself through art and show the world your